Hello, beautiful people. It's Hormone Friday. So, today I'm going to talk about the love hormone. So, the last 2 weeks I've talked about hormones that you really don't want to be triggering. So, insulin, you don't want to be triggering your insulin because ultimately that's what leads to type 2 diabetes when it's over triggered. So, you want to be eating low GI foods. And I talked about that in the first episode. And in the second episode, I talked about adrenaline and cortisol, the stress hormones. You don't want to be triggering those either because you'll end up with adrenal burnout. But today I thought we'd talk about one that you do want to trigger, you want lots of in your life, and how can you go about doing that. So we're talking about oxytocin. Now, most people, if you know anything about oxytocin, will associate it with childbirth. It's the hormone that's released to trigger childbirth, and it's also released during breastfeeding. It's what helps mother and baby to bond. But oxytocin is released through lots of different activities that have nothing to do with childbirth, but they all increase our sense of bonding, our sense of love and connection with other people. Now, you're going to get this if you're, in love with someone. You're just going to be feeling this all the time, especially if you're hanging out with them a lot. You're going to be getting this when you're holding hands and you're kissing and you're just being, smoochy nice. And you're going to get this if you've got a small child who, loves to be cuddled and you love to cuddle them. You're going to be getting this if you've got a dog or a pet that you love to stroke, and you just get those lovely, warm, settled feelings, when both of you, the dog and you, get those lovely feelings. That's an oxytocin rush. But what about in these weird times if you're all on your own? It's not as easy to get it when you're talking to somebody, on a Zoom screen. So there are a few little things you could do. They suggest sending a gift to somebody that you love, putting lots of love into it. Or maybe, writing a beautiful letter and putting lots of love into it. That will give you an oxytocin rush. However, the universe gave me an interesting one the other day. I was somebody who I've met only a couple of times, but we just, had a really lovely connection with, and particularly lovely cuddles with. And I'm just talking cuddles, nothing intimate here. And the universe invited me to use my imagination. Now, if you remember, I have spoken about imagination in some of my other videos, that our brain doesn't know the difference between what we imagine and what is real. So be careful what you imagine. And we'll act on whatever it is that we imagine. So the universe presented to me that I imagined I was having a wonderful cuddle with this person. And because, it was in my imagination, I didn't have to worry about all the trust issues or the boundary issues or, any of that stuff. I could just totally relax into being held and being cuddled and loved by this person, and, equally reciprocate that. And it was totally blissful. Absolutely loved it. I just felt all my boundaries just disappeared, and I just felt really good. And so I have been practicing that while, not been getting any hugs and cuddles from anywhere else, not real ones. So I've been practicing virtual cuddles, imaginary cuddles and hugs, and it certainly has been lovely and helpful. So I do offer you that one as a little practice. So I have been thinking actually that it might be quite good to have little homework set. So from the insulin one, your homework would have been to cut down on processed food, particularly white food like sugar and white rice, potatoes, white pasta, white bread, and see how you feel. With the adrenaline one, it was about, taking some time to breathe, go out for a little walk in nature, reduce your stress levels, and if you don't, maybe introduce a meditation, a regular meditation practice. Now, meditation also can really help with your oxytocin levels if you're meditating about love. So, this week, I invite you to, if you don't have a partner or a dog or a child that you can have those lovely cuddly times with, I invite you to imagine that you're having lovely cuddles with someone and just really relaxing into that being held and just lovely. And I have one more little other homework for you, which relates to they're not strictly hormones, they're neuropeptides, but neuropeptides and hormones are, roughly the same thing that we're going to be talking about next week. I want you to spend a week practicing smiling as much as you can, even when there's nobody around. I did this for a whole month. I don't know, a couple of years ago, a year ago or something, I don't remember. And it converted me to smiling as much as I could. It definitely releases neuropeptides, stroke hormones into your system that make you feel better. And we'll go into that more next week. But have a go at practicing, see how you get on, and then I'll explain the science next week. Okay, love you all. Take care and have a lovely, fun time with your oxytocin and your smiling.